Not yet. I'm still waiting. Okay. Okay. I move back to the discussion. So now we are moving to the discussion. Okay. Thanks everybody for presenting. And okay, just now Mr. Agus has presented about collaboration with industry. So from the first webinar, his school has extended the discussion to 5 events with industry. And
Yeah.
can you see the slides that I share with you right now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. So so these are the what do you call it? The measures taken by the different countries. We can see that Taiwan battles the coronavirus, how Sweden tried to get herd immunity, how China first posed the lockdown, and we are quite at first skeptical whether our country in Malaysia also will do this, because we have never seen this in our life, the lockdown that everybody can go out. And then in America, we thought that America would be the best in facing this pandemic, but somehow we can see up until now they are still having problem with this the problem of racial tension now. And there are some consultation companies go about doing this sensitivity analysis. They use optimistic versus pessimistic approach. They can say the base case versus worst case scenario using historical data analysis, or maybe use the previous cases like flu, SARS, MERS, Ebola. But somehow, can we use this for this pandemic? I would say this is not really accurate, considering that the projection must include, if you see nowadays, shrinking market. This is the only time in history that we have to focus on the domestic market, and then reduce capacity because of the social distancing measures. Every industry players, especially hospitality, airlines, restaurant, have to go have capacity and reduce supply, especially to the airlines and hotel industry. They have to cease operation, and only certain departments can operate, not every department. And slow demand because of this affected the employment rate, and the demand has been slow for a while, and low purchasing power in the market. Different government policy to reactivate the economy. Some countries already started the economy, reactivate the economy, but some countries still executing this lockdown. And then vulnerable market. Before this, we can sell products to all markets, especially to the seniors, to the senior market, which is quite lucrative. They have the money, they have the purchasing power, but now they are the most vulnerable market, especially to the senior one, right? And we cannot use the ceteris paribus, because before this, we can say that when we use the analysis, we use the analytical tool, we always execute this ceteris paribus. But now we cannot assume other things remain constant, right? So these are the painful events during the lockdown. We can see that many businesses going bankrupt, hotel has to cease operation, and the hotel has to lay off, terminate the employees. So which one of these should we anticipate after the lockdown? Whether we want to resume the operation, whether we want to rebound, or we have to restart. Okay, and when we talk about this, so these are the things that we have to discuss. There are so many R's that we heard on top of this resume, rebound, and restart. For example, these are the challenges to the tourism industry. We talked just like Mr. Agus shared just now about the financial management, the cash flow, depleted cash flow. How long can the hotel players survive or sustain? Because I think most of them said that they can only last up until June. Maybe after June, starting from July, most of them have to cease operation for the operational, because there are no product can be sold. They cannot operate because the operation is not like the previous day, before the pandemic. The management, they receive pressure from the management, say that no, we have no business now. So should we stop the operation? Should we fire or terminate everybody? Because the general manager has to answer this to the parent companies, right? And to the marketing. So there's no room for creative industry, staffing. So these are productivity, because of the productivity, so they have to think about, these are some of the issues, right? And I think like a couple of days ago, so we received this global guidelines to restart tourism industry. So when we heard the word restart, that means we are going with a new normal, right? Okay, you can see here, these are the things that they want to focus. The priorities for the tourism recovery: provide liquidity and protect jobs, recover confidence through safety and security, public-private collaboration for an efficient reopening, open borders with responsibility, harmonize and coordinate protocols and procedures, added value jobs through new technologies, innovation and sustainability as the new normal. So there are three keywords. If you see here, so if you can go through the document, so they have provided the document to public. Okay. So the idea, the highlight of the future strategy is safety and seamless travel. So when you go through the document, you can see that there are three things that they really focus on. The first one is the hygiene and operation. Number two, the partnership. And number three, product and marketing. Why? Because why they focus on hygiene and operation? Because of the social distancing, because we have to adapt to the new normal. So that's why hygiene and operation is the way forward. And number two, partnership. Why partnership is the focus? They emphasize on the partnership because of international travel. So we cannot move, we cannot travel to other countries. Like me, I cannot travel to meet Dr. Siva Kumar this year because of, definitely India won't allow international travel. Even though I have been in your university before, but because of this, we require the partnership. And the third one is the product and marketing, because like mentioned by Mr. Benjamin just now, so we have to focus on digital technology. On top of the domestic market, we also need to have digital savvy. So these are the three things that which I saw during through the reading. But now for the discussion. So when we talk about future traveling, so how optimists are all of you for the industry to be restart? Can we restart like in no time? Can we start in fortnight? Can we start like tomorrow? Because in Malaysia, today is the first day the hotel can operate. But I'm not sure about other countries. Maybe we can hear from Dr. Ismail. What do you think about this issue?
Yeah, here in India, the government has asked the hotels to start their operations from June 8th June, and only they can serve the customers with 50% capacity, and the restaurants should be only opened, and not lodging facilities, or nobody can stay. So that they request the hotels to start their business, resume their operations initially, but not for full-fledged operations. Only restaurants will be open with 50% capacity. And that's what the government has started initially from first week of June.
Yeah. So can we hear from Mr. Dr. Ismail in Ghana? So what is the prospect of tourism industry in Ghana?
Yes, just yesterday, the president of Ghana spoke to the nation, and gradually you realize that the restrictions are being gradually, minimized. And so, for instance, whereas in the past, prior to yesterday, you couldn't have a congregation of more than 25 people, from today, you can actually, in fact, from Friday, you can actually have a congregation of 100 up to 100 people. So what I have realized is that gradually we are seeing the easing of the restrictions, the social distancing restrictions. So I believe that tourism will not rebound immediately. I mean, it will take an awful lot of time for tourism to recover. But there are a lot of prospects that we can restart And the restart should be gradual. And because of that, we should first look at the domestic market, the market that is closer to us. Let's deal with that market first, because as I speak to you now, many countries have still closed their borders. And so the inbound tourists are not coming. So even with the easing of the social distance restrictions, you still cannot get the inbound tourists. So what you have to do is to look within, and you have to be very creative. Just last Friday, the World Tourism Organization, apart from the guidelines that you've given us today, they also released a document on technical support for restarting tourism. And in that document, they provide 3 key pillars. First, they talk about economic recovery. So first, we need to know the impact of COVID-19 on the tourism industry. And based on that, government should put in stimulus packages and other interventions to help these tourism businesses to restart. The second is marketing and promotion. And I believe Dr. Henry spoke about that. We have to be more innovative in terms of marketing. We have to rediscover new markets that the product will appeal to instead of depending on the traditional market. You spoke about the aged who are more vulnerable. So now they are not traveling. So what do? Should the hotels continue to operate under capacity? They may have to look elsewhere. Now, the third pillar that the World Tourism Organization talks about is building resilience. And again, we can use technology to build resilience. And here we are talking about improving upon the hygienic, situation in our hotel, the cleaning routine, so that we don't have a situation whereby tourists will visit your facility and then they will end up contracting the virus, or they would spread the virus in your facility. So I believe that when we look at the R's that you have mentioned, yes, we can resume. If you look all around the world, especially in the US, in Russia and other countries, the tourism industry is restarting on a lower scale. So yes, we can restart, we can resume, but I think it will take a long time for us to rebound or to recover from what we have suffered from. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so this is why I said just now, because this really is crunch time to all of us, and we don't have a case study to deal with this. For example, like hotel industry, I remember the first question that I asked to the general manager. So I said, what kind of training that we can offer to the industry players, because we are the academia. So because we don't really have class right now, and we have to go online with the students, and we have time to also maybe we can offer the same online training to the hotel players or to the employees. And you know what the answer from the hotel industries? So they said that actually we don't require training right now. Most of the staff don't need training. You know why? Because of most of them really worry about their job security. For them, what matter is job, because they know that their days are numbered. Because they know probably like this month or maybe in 1 week or 2 weeks, they will be terminated by the employers. So like us, we are the academia. So we want to provide something. We want to collaborate with the industry players, but we try to find the right way for us to collaborate with them. So what are the best you think we can start to collaborate with industry players? Like Mr. Agus just now, so he has a good collaboration, he has a good relationship with the general managers, because most of them enroll in the programs in the school. But like us here, especially in India, especially in Ghana, where tourism is one of the pillars for the industry. What do you think, Dr. Siva?
Yeah, of course, the industry players now looking for some solution, because they are now in a panic situation, how to start and how to rebuild the industry. So they are looking up to the academia to have an idea about how to to start and resume the operations. But what this COVID has, I'm telling about the positive side of this COVID-19. See, COVID-19 has brought in a conscious mind in even the employees, even in among the industry professionals, to be more standardize their operations, to improve their quality of operations. That has come into their mind, but not of a volume-based business like in India. We care more volumes. So now they are focusing towards a quality-based and conscious-based and health-conscious-based approach towards serving the client, even in hotel or even in travel, etc. So they are now looking up on this aspect among the industry process, looking at the academia for some solutions. For example, for a travel in car, the driver should not have a contact with the passenger. So they are trying. A few people have tried a transparent block between the driver and the passenger, so that the passenger and driver will not have a contact, but they can see each other and they can travel together. So such kind of new innovations have started up. They are looking up industry for giving any such kind of a solution for more related with the health and trust between the client and the service provider. That is what I think that will give an edge towards the industry.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Henry, what do you think, Dr. Henry, about this issue?
Yeah, I think it sums it all. Looking into the future, I am of the view that, like Professor Ishmael said, we are not likely to rebound pretty soon. Yeah. But gradually, as they ease up the various restrictions, we can take advantage of the various suggestions we have given in terms of the strategies that we're supposed to use, the marketing and promotion, strategies, and the protocols that has been set to be able to establish assurance for our clients. So we'll be able to gradually, restart and resume what we have been doing already. But in the very near future, I think that rebounding would take some time and a lot of work to do. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Mr. Agus can share what do you have experience with the industry players when you do the webinar.
Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Yeah, thank you, Doctor. Okay, based on my experience when you webinar, mostly the people, the hotel practitioner, they are interested to join this webinar is the from hotel manager and supervisor, but no more staff. Because why? Because the condition is they don't have money. They have to save money because they have money to buy data. For internet, for example. So they don't care about this webinar. But supervisor less. Assistant manager, hotel manager, because they don't have money. I think the salary they don't have money, but that very less, but they can survive. But staff, no. But when I trying to get information, what they need, for example, for staff hotel operation, they're just thinking about because right now is online, because online there's only like practice.
Yeah, maybe because of the theory, right?
More like this.
Yeah. I remember there's one question that asks your line is breaking, Mr. Agus. Your line is breaking. Okay, never mind. We can come back to that later. I remember, Mr. Agus, do you remember there's one question by the industry players? They asked us, what kind of training that you will prepare? What kind of syllabus or courses that you will conduct during this pandemic? Because there's no more face-to-face learning. Everything will be done online, and there's no more final examination and no more practical classes. Yeah. But what kind of training that you will conduct, what kind of skills that you will put to the students, that you want to instill in the students. So I think I would like to listen to the panels. Maybe Dr. Ishmael, do you have something to say about it?
Yeah, already in the month of March, we have been requested to go for online classes. But our teachers are afraid of going for online practical classes because of how this can be given to them. But what we have done is we are trying to go for online classes. First of all, we should have the internet connectivity. Students should have internet connectivity, and slowly the university is thinking of going for some e-labs so that this facility may be created and given as an practical may be given online. And the university has given a circular that 30% of the classes will be online in future, slowly, and it will increase from 30% to 50%. And many things are going up in the minds of the administration, and we do not know how it will things will happen, because I see from the students' perspective, it is very difficult for them to learn through online, particularly the hotel skills related to the hotel and hospital industry. Key skills which is required more of practice than seeing it. So they have to practice it while seeing. So that is a bit of worry we had. Probably in due course of time, we may strategize and even connect industry players, international players to the students can hear from international players. That's what I think. And one more thing I would like to, apart from this, I would like to give a positive outlook towards this COVID is. See, this pandemic is somewhat different, as you said in the start of your session. It has affected not one geographical area, it has affected the whole world. That is the biggest challenge we face. It is not only for in India, or it's not only for Malaysia, it's not only for Ghana, but it is the whole world is facing such a difficulty in this period. So everyone will be thinking of how to come out of this particular pandemic. One thing. Then second is, as per the statistics, which says that the pandemic is spread, but the casualty is very less. For example, in India, the casualty is around, it's less than 1%. Suppose 20,000 people have been affected of COVID-19. Around 130 have been died because of this pandemic. So that gives you a positive side of it, that pandemic will be there, but we have to live with the pandemic, or we have to cope up with the pandemic. So we cannot avoid it. That is the new normal, what I think Professor Ismail was telling. So the new normal is you have to live with pandemic, but with careful and healthy reasons we can.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Siva. Maybe Benjamin, how does this pandemic affected your study, your PhD study? Because you are the only student here, and maybe Dr. Agus, Mr. Agus as well. Because you know it will affect your future, the way you want to conduct your data methodology, the data collection.
Very much, because with data collection, it's very slow now. I was looking out for 300 respondents from the hotel industry, and now I have only around 100. Because when you contact them, and now you are using online survey, and with that, you know how voluminous the questions for PhD could be.
Yeah.
So when some of them even start, they might not even finish completing the questionnaire. So as of now, I just have around 107, which I started since after my proposal defense, which I passed in August. So it's not been easy. But with the interviews now, I'm doing mixed methods though. So with the interviews, we are doing it on the telephone. So for that, I have been able to gather all the data for the interviews. But for the quantitative, it's not been easy.
Yeah.
It's not been easy at all. Yeah. Because most of them, they'll tell you their staff are not even present there. Yes, they've laid them off. So it's even difficult to get them to do the study for you. So that's one of the challenges we are facing. And because of that, if you don't have the data, you'll be stuck. As a way, stuck. So most of the papers I even wanted to write now is more of conceptual papers and literature reviews that we are thinking about with my supervisors.
Yeah, thank you. So anything you want to add, Dr. Ishmael?
Yes, you asked earlier how academia could assist industry in this time of crisis. I think one area that as academicians we need to support the industry with is research, because it appears there isn't enough data to, sort of help us come up with the needed measures that would help in, solving the problem or addressing the problem. So I think one area that we could look at is helping industry to collect and analyze data so that could serve as a basis for policy proposals towards handling the COVID-19 issue. And I think that when it comes to training, yes, since the lockdown or since we were all asked to go home, we have been teaching our students, we've been engaging them via Zoom and other social media platforms. I believe that could be used for training, especially at the executive level. One thing that we need to equip managers of tourism and hospitality facilities with is crisis management. We need to equip them with the policies and procedures that they have to follow in crisis management, because this is a crisis. And many of them, it appears, have just given up hope. But I believe the situation has to be managed. So we can organize executive level training for them. Also on leadership in times of crisis, and then marketing strategy in times of crisis. For the operational level staff, I think one group that we need to look at is the housekeepers, because COVID-19 is spread from human to human. And if a hotel, for instance, doesn't have a good housekeeping regime, it could serve as a vector for the spread of the virus. And so with regards to the new normal, we need to come up with a new way of housekeeping. And I believe that is also one area that as academicians, we can assist with the training. Yes, the training will be difficult because this is practical. So how do you organize a practical training online? But I believe that we could also use videos. We could share videos for them to watch, give them assignments and projects. And then if possible, under the social distance restrictions, we could also have smaller groups. We could train smaller groups. Insofar as we are adhering to the social distancing protocols, I believe that will be allowed. So I believe academicians, we have a significant role to play. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So we have one question here from Dr. Siva. The future of international tourism. Maybe Dr. Henry, what do you think about future international tourism?
Yeah, the future is, in the immediate time, quite gloomy. It is very important that we may want to apply the various technologies that we have to be able to ensure that the issue of COVID is cleared off the line. I am very hopeful that in the few months to come, by the end of the year, we should be finding, a vaccine that would, tend to reduce the, impact that the COVID has. And then we will be thinking about the rebound that you suggested. Once the vaccine is cleared, and we all need to vaccinate us. So already, traveling had been characterized by taking one vaccine here and there. You take yellow fever, you take all those things. So if at the end of the year, thankfully, if we have the vaccine, I think that the international travels and international, tourism would now come to its level of formal status again. So the picture in the immediate period until we find a vaccine is quite gloomy. But as we have heard, and the work other people are doing, the potentials are there that by end of year, we should be having vaccine to be able to ease all the restrictions, and then travels would bounce back. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, actually, I have this in mind because when I read through the document by the World Tourism Council, Travel Council, and one thing I think missing is the protection to the customer. Because remember before COVID, when we already booked, I remember I also booked the hotel, but because of this COVID-19, then the book, I mean, we had to cancel the book, but no refund. But what happened in the future if, let's say, you already booked the ticket, or you book air ticket or maybe hotel, but then when you want to enter the airline, because of the security check, then they say that you are not entitled to travel because of your temperature is not according to the international level. So this is something that the protection that we have to think about, because maybe in the future when because we plan ahead, right? We plan maybe 1 month, 2 months before we travel, but when we want to travel during the day of traveling, then something happened to us. We are not fit to travel. So I would say the protection is not there yet. So the industry is not ready to give protection to the guest, to the customer. So this is something that missing in the document. I'm not sure. Maybe you, Dr. Ismail, what do you think about this?
I think you are right. I believe many tourism establishments, hotels and airlines are now adopting the strategy of asking customers to not to cancel their flights or their bookings, but rather to postpone the dates. I believe it will become a problem if, like you are saying, the customer has to travel and then he or she is restrained because of his or her health condition. That would definitely pose a problem. But I believe the industry may have to come up with a policy, maybe the individual businesses, a refund policy or something of that sort, and minimize the risk. Already we know they are losing a lot of revenue. So if they are going to refund people's money back to them and all that, it is further going to hurt their profit. I think they could also consider, insurance as a way of minimizing the risk of refunds and then money back to customers. So I think this is something that will come up, especially now that some destinations are restarting. The issue of whether you are in good health condition to travel and whether you'll be allowed to even board the flight. Remember, most of the flights are also going to even reduce their capacity. So your trip may have to be rescheduled far back. And if you are going for an event, you may have to cancel eventually. Because if you miss the flight for the event, that is it. So I think the industry may have to come up with a policy and also take up insurance as a way of managing the situation.
Because the problem that we face right now, because of these intermediaries, especially like nowadays, we have to rely on online travel agency, right? We want to book airlines, we want to book hotel. So the problem we face when we want to refund from the online travel agency, not from the hotel. I think hotel may refund, may cooperate with us because we are the long-term clients or we are the customer or guests. But when we have to deal with this, maybe in the future, I would say the players need to try to reduce the intermediaries. Maybe this is the time for them to change the business model. They have to be the service providers. I'm not sure. Maybe this is something that I think in the future.
The online travel intermediaries, they have come to stay. And I think even with the COVID, it's even going to be more pronounced. Because people are looking for cheaper, fares, cheaper tickets. And the online give you the opportunity to search and, scout for, cheaper tickets, more flexible packages and all that. So it is something that has come to stay. But I believe the service providers may have to sit down with the online travel agents and then work something out so that at the end of the day, the customer doesn't bear the brunt. So I believe it is something that will prove difficult, but it could be worked out among the intermediaries and the service providers.
And one more thing, one more segment that is really affected is the religious tourism. This is something that I think, like in Arab and in India, for example, like you mentioned just now, Dr. Siva, there are many temples, many age more than 1,000 years. So what will be the future of the religious tourism in India, or maybe in Ghana?
Still, the temples have not been opened up. The government has closed down all the temples and worshipping places.
Alert from mail. Pulse Ghana.
Because of the social distancing norms. But what will happen, because Indian crowds, the festivals in temples, it will be always only crowded places only. So now I do not know what is the future of the festivals it will happen, because for a simple festival in a place, in a temple, it will be around 5 lakh or 10 lakh people will be joining together. But this COVID-19 has brought up to a social distancing, and government is putting up lot of steps to have only 50% capacity in every place. So it will have an stake on prisoner tourism. I think it will be affected in India. I see the other side of the coin, that probably medical tourism may pick up in apart from prisoner tourism, medical tourism may pick up. And as Professor Ismail was telling and Professor Henry was telling, I think domestic tourism will start initially from places from, for example, I may travel to a temple which I worship. A person living in Andhra may travel to Tamil Nadu for worshipping a temple. So that will initially start at the end of the year, and probably slowly it may pick up. I think so. And each and every place, you can see that they will have social distancing norms, health aspects. Only healthy people will be allowed to enter into the temple. So such things will happen, and it will have an effect on pilgrimage tourism. Definitely, it will have a say on pilgrimage tourism. So government should think of, our academicians like me should think of promoting marine tourism, promoting medical tourism. That will be the other side of the coin. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, I think we are going to do towards the end of the program, and I'd like to thank everybody for participating. I think we have more to discuss.
I have one suggestion.
Yes, please.
Yeah, last suggestion. Since we have connected, probably I may not know Mr. Ismail, I may not know Mr. Henry, I may not know Mr. Benjamin. So we are connected. Why can't we work out a joint proposal to save the industry, or to give some suggestion to the industry regarding the post-COVID, how industry can think of going for post-COVID strategies. Yes. Even specifically to airline, specifically to travel agencies, specifically to the tour operators, we can do something. That's not my suggestion. If our friends are happy to cooperate, we will do that.
Yes, I will.
I agree. I think that's a very good suggestion. Yes.
Yeah.
Something that we can work on. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that's the reason why we want to have this kind of discussion. We want to exchange ideas, and also we want to promote collaboration in the future. Okay, before we end, before I let everybody speak, final words, I'd like to thank Mr. Benjamin for connecting Mr. Dr. Ismail and Dr. Henry to this webinar, and then to Mr. Agus, I would like to say happy 51st anniversary, and I know you are celebrating the anniversary this month, and maybe we can listen final words from everybody. We can start from Mr. Dr. Henry first. Final words from you. Sorry, we cannot hear you. Okay, yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much. It has been an insightful interaction, and I think that these interactions should not end here. We should continue, because the hospitality and tourism industry is big and needs a lot of suggestions from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Agus, do you have anything to say? The final words? Sorry, you are mute. Okay. Yeah. Okay, now please. We cannot hear you, Mr. Agus. Okay, now please talk. we still have problems with the connection. Maybe we can start with Mr. Benjamin first.
Okay. Dr. Mo, thank you also for this opportunity. Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much. And also, I'm highly elated to be on the same panel with my professors. I never ever thought this day would even come. I'm highly elated and very happy. Yes.
Yeah,
and
you've
I've
come
learned
of
a
age.
Yeah, but he is the one who connect us. I really have to thank Mr. Benjamin for this.
Yeah.
And then for
Yeah.
Dr. Ishmael, any final words from you?
Yeah. So first of all, let me thank you, Dr. Maud, for giving us this platform to interact as academicians. This is something that we have to do often. And I believe this will set the tone for future engagements. I also want to thank Benjamin, one of my very good students, who is making us proud in Malaysia, for connecting all of us. And we hope that he will soon be done with his PhD so that he can come back and then join us. I also want to thank all the other panelists for also availing yourselves. I have learned a lot from you. And I believe that as Dr. Sivakumar has suggested, we shouldn't let it stop here. We should initiate processes of coming up with solid proposals for the industry. But let me also reassure all industry players that all is not lost. Yes, we have already said that COVID-19 is unprecedented. That is true, but history also tells us that the tourism industry has been very resilient. It has survived all the crises. So we believe that even though it may take a longer time, eventually we will see light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you all, and God richly bless you.
Okay. So before Mr. Agus, can you try to speak one more time, Mr. Agus? We cannot hear you just now. Oh, still we cannot hear you. Maybe you have to use the group chat. Okay, Dr. Sivakumar, any final word from you?
Yeah, thank you, Professor Asif, for connecting me, especially. And I thank Professor Ismail giving insightful thought about Ghana. And he has kindled me a response. After all this COVID over, I may travel to Ghana also, because I love to travel, like Professor Asif. And I thank Professor Henry for giving a lot of insights. And budding researcher, Mr. Benjamin, I should thank him for connecting Professor Ismail and Henry. And I thank you, Professor, for connecting with the elated panelists so that I can start my discussions. And
your line is breaking there. Everybody is having a problem with connection. Oh, we cannot hear you, Dr. Siva. So sad that we cannot hear the final word from you. Okay, from myself, I would like to thank everybody for participating, and I know this would be the first time, and hopefully we can conduct it again in the future.